Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Movies with D, and that's me. And I hope you guys are enjoying this little wave I'm doing of reviews. Since I said I'm doing three, this is number two. If you're keeping a track of the reviews I'm doing today, the review that I'm working on today, or going to talk about today, I should say, is Barbershop 3: The Next Cut. Barbershop takes place in south side of Chicago. Mainly, most of the movie takes place in Ice Cube's shop, which he actually now combined with Regina Hall, who plays Angie's shop with a beauty salon. Those both of those shops are actually now combined together, so they can make sure they can stay in business. And basically, they're tired of all the violence going around in their neighborhood, and they decide to do something about it just within their community and not wait for the politicians to help. That's basically the main message of this story of the people in the neighborhood and the barbershop finally stepping up and doing something about all the violence in their neighborhood with all the Bloods and the Crips, etc. So, as always, hold on, before I get to my positive and negatives, as always, no spoilers for one, but for two, going into the movie, Barbershop 1 and 2 came out when I was young. I think I was a teenager when number two came out. I was even younger when number one came out. Number one I really liked. Number two was all right for what it was, and number three I was like, I saw the trailers. I'm like, I'm gonna see it. It might be kind of okay, but I was thinking it was gonna probably be like a Zoolander 2 or something, because movies that I loved as kids, and then they come out with the sequels, and I'm like, whatever. But I thought it was gonna have a good message because the message they're sending is very relevant, especially to the Chicago area. I even know somebody. I have a few friends that have lost people that live in Chicago because of all the violence, and so it's a very prominent message today because that's something we're dealing with, not just in Chicago but everywhere in our country. So much violence, so much violence, and the people want to do something about it. The people want the politicians to help about it, etc. So that's the basis of the movie, and let's now that that's being said, and I said I wasn't excited to see this movie for the most part. Let's get to my negatives. This one's real quick, and it's how I feel most comedies are, because the movie is just under 2 hours, and it could have been a little shorter. I think it definitely could have shaved some of the time off because there were parts that weren't really heavy on that the message was they didn't need for the message, and then some times, I mean, it's a comedy with the message, and they didn't even have good parts of the comedy. It was like some jokes fell flat. It's like, oh, I didn't need that joke, or I didn't need that scene at all. We could have just cut it out, and the story would have flew a little better. So it could have been a little shorter, cleaned up in the editing a little bit. But next to that is it really drew the line. I mean, there's a main message, and that's about the violence and stopping the violence. There's a lot of different small messages in in this movie as well. But with the main message, it was very close to beating you over the head with it. Not saying it did. I don't think it did. Maybe it would have if the message was a little different, because I think it's a very important message. So maybe it did. That's why it didn't bug me. It might bug some with the message, because they did. I mean, it was the basis of the movie, but so it was very close to drawing that line. With that being said, this is one of the things. My next negative is one of the things I was assuming was going to happen in the movie. Is it was predictable at points. There was a point in the movie I saw one thing happen, and I knew what was going to happen with that setup. Like I saw this character, they did one thing. I'm like, well, this is happening, and I was right. So I had a couple of those moments. One thing that's a negative, before I get to that one, it rehashes at least one of the storylines that's been throughout all of the barbershops. I'm not gonna say what it is. If you've seen the other two, you probably will guess what I'm talking about. But the last negative I have, and it's not really a negative for me, but it's something I noticed hearing other people talk about it, is that the jokes are very targeted towards African Americans. Like me personally in the movie, a lot of the jokes they did, I laughed at them because I can relate to them and stuff like that. But I've heard other people talk about it in conversation with other people that they enjoyed the movie as well, but they were like, it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be, and I'm like, it kind of was, and it was like, I think it was that barrier of it's an African American led movie, and a lot of those jokes are going to be tailored to African Americans because that's the background we have, or I have, and so I was definitely laughing at stuff that somebody else might. And I mean, that's always the issue with comedy anyway, not just race, but everybody's going to find different things funny, you know? It's like, I might make a fart noise and you think it's funny and hilarious, and I'll be like, well, I just farted, this is stupid, you know? So you never know with comedies. That's always a risk. But that's out of my, let's get out of the negatives. Let's get to my positives. And it's kind of weird because my positive list isn't as big, as like long as my normal positive list, but it's a lot in that positiveness. If that made sense. But so first, they did a great job, in my opinion, mixing the message with the comedy. Because when I was watching the trailer, I laughed a little bit, but I didn't think it was going to be that funny. But when I saw the story, I was like, this is going to be an important story and the message they have. And the best way to get messages across, in my opinion, is with comedy because it's easier to accept something that's real and something that is in your face, but you're not trying to realize it. It's easier, in my opinion, it's easier to take it when there's some light weight to it. It's like, oh, this is real, this happened, this is so serious, and then you can laugh it off a little bit because of blah blah blah. And I think that's the best way to handle some of these situations that are very awkward and hard putting and stuff like that, to bring some light to it and make you think about it in a joking way. So I think they did that great, especially and especially because if you guys follow me on Facebook and stuff like that, some of the conversations that come up with, you know, white privilege and the cops beating young African American kids, and one of the conversations I think I've had with somebody is, and it's an argument that should be made, and I can understand is, there's a character in the movie, and I think it was smart they had this happen, and it wasn't a white person, but it was a character in the movie who literally comes up, and it's funny because I knew I had the conversation probably a couple of days before. They always ask the question, as African American or black people always say, you know, the government's against us, they're beating us down, blah blah blah, and that it's harder for us. And for people who don't live that life, they don't understand. So this person came out and they asked. It's like, I don't get it because my family is immigrants and we came through this and we fought for this, blah 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 blah. And he said that, and he wasn't wrong for his thinking, but he also doesn't understand somebody else. Like, I want to understand what somebody who's an immigrant coming over. I don't know their struggles. I don't understand a Jewish struggle and stuff like that. And I don't understand the struggle of a white person, and etc. But but other people also don't understand the African American struggle. So he said his piece, and the funny part is he was brave for saying this because he said it in a room, and he had to feel comfortable because he didn't do it in a bad way. But he's in a room full of black people. So you know they have an opinion on it. They have a very strong opinion on it because they live with it. And I think the way they handled it was great. And that's the kind of thing that we have to do, is start these conversations with people, whether we have difference of opinion or not. We need to be able to understand where we're coming from. Hey, you feel that way. Why? Okay, this is why I feel this way. Which one makes more sense? Which one, you know? Oh, I can understand where you're coming from. Now, I can't really relate because I never dealt with it, but I get where you're coming from. You have a right to be angry. I can see your point. That's how, you know, things have to go, and that's the only way we're going to make the world better. So I love that. My bad for ranting a little bit, but I had to do it because this is a movie about a message. The second thing is the acting throughout the movie was pretty good. Even Nicki Minaj was pretty good in the movie. Common had a lot of great emotional parts. Sometimes they got a little bit too. It's probably the part about the Metro Beach overhead. Oh, God, so serious. Like, there was a couple times I did that, but it wasn't too bad. It just wasn't too bad. Let's put it that way. And the last thing, and this is the best thing you could do in a movie, in my opinion, it's a comedy. I laughed a lot in the movie. A lot in the movie. It was, everybody was funny. Nicki Minaj had me laughing a little bit. Common had me laugh a little bit. Of course, Cedric the Entertainer had me laughing. The dude that played Notorious B.I.G. was in it a little bit. It was good to see him, and he was actually pretty good in it. I can't remember the guy off of New Girl, the black guy off New Girl. He had some funny moments. His Deion Cole, he had some funny moments. I mean, Regina Hall. There was a lot. Eve was in there, funny. Like, and then they brought back. I forgot. Besides all the funny moments, they brought back all the old characters in some capacity, and it wasn't like they were shoehorned, and it made sense. Like, if you're cool, like it's a barbershop and it's your favorite barbershop, or you used to work there, or whatever, you go back and eventually you say hi. You know, hey, what's going on? What you guys doing? Blah blah blah. That's what you do. So anyway, that's how I feel about I mean, that's my positive negative about Barbershop. Let me score this thing. So Out of 10, I give Barbershop a solid 8. I thought it was a real good movie. It had a great message. It was funny, and the main two things that movie wanted to do was tell a good story with a positive, with a powerful message, and make you laugh. And it did both of those in spades. And I didn't expect it to come. It was actually a pleasant surprise for me because I really like this movie. It's a movie that I will definitely be buying. I will definitely probably watch multiple times. To any comedy, if it's funny, I'm watching it multiple times because I like to laugh. So that's all I got for you guys today. Well, for this review, because I still got one more to do, right? So that's all I got for you guys. Make sure to follow me on all social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff. All at DWood2324. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, Talking Movies with D, and also on the video, click that like button. And if you're on Facebook, make sure to share the video so everybody can see it. Helps me out. The more people see it, the more people see it, the more people see it. And that's a good thing. You know what I'm talking about? Make sure we get this conversation going, whether it's on Facebook or any other social media. Please talk to me about it. I enjoy the conversations I have with people, even the ones on the phone when it's like, oh no, I don't want to talk to you on Facebook about it. I'd rather see, if I see you in person, we'll talk about it, or I talk to you on the phone. That's cool with me too. Let's talk about it, man. I like talking about this stuff. So I'll get you guys next time. Deuces, and I'm out.